Welcome to Reality Check, where we decode the drama, debunk the myths, and deep dive into mental health matters portrayed on the TV screen. My name is Selena, and I'm a mental health therapist.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline, and I'm the producer and co-host.
According to my formula that I wrote, and we should check in. Like, how are we doing?
Yeah, let's do that. How are we doing?
That's a good question. Surviving the winter.
Yes.
Winter is always rough.
Yeah. That's a loaded question. It is, it's a lot. There's a lot going on right now, with the kids and scheduling, but I'm just ready
to visit.
I know, I get to come visit. I'm ready for January to be over. But yeah, I'm super ready. I will be for anyone that doesn't know, of course you guys don't know, but anyone that wants to know, I will be visiting St. Louis. Yep, I will be coming to see Selena and hang out with some of her friends, which are also my friends. But yeah, it will be fun. We're going to hit up a really nice winery in St. Louis and hopefully hit up a really great joint to eat at.
Pasta joint.
Yes. Oh my God, I love me some pasta.
We're going to the Hill, Jacqueline's favorite place.
Yes, I love the Hill. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm good. Trying hanging in there, fighting those winter blues, keeping active. For me, like January is a good time for me to like stick to a routine. Because these cloudy days make me feel not happy. I am a sunshine girly. I will bask in the sun. Give me the 90-degree weather. That is when I'm in my happiest place.
Yes.
It's like, it's 24 today? This is for the birds. Like, it's not even for the birds.
I was gonna say, even the birds don't want it.
Even the birds don't want it. Like, I have to make sure that all my little wellness things are in place so that I can be okay. So.
Yeah, it is. It's just nasty out, but it'll get better. 72 more days till spring.
I love that you're counting down. That's excellent. Thank you.
I'm not counting down. I saw it. I saw a post.
I see. Wow. Gives us hope.
Yeah. I saw a post.
It's hope. All right. You want to give us a little synopsis of we're going to do episodes 2 and 3 of season 2
of The Bear. Yes, let's dive in. So I'm going to do the synopsis a little differently, just so everyone is aware. I'm just kind of going to run through it real quick, of both seasons together. I'm not going to really get into the details of it.
Both episodes?
I'm just going to run.
Yeah, let's talk about what happened last episode.
Yes. We took a break and came back from break and still was on break.
Had no idea whose anyone's names were. Did that make any sense?
No, we had no idea what the characters' names were. We just, Mikey and Richie, for some reason, to me, and I don't know about you, Selena, but they just are the same person, but they're not.
Yeah.
Is Richie just that irrelevant in my mind that I just want to blend him with everyone?
Wow. This is why I love Jacqueline, because she's brutally honest.
Okay, so so they're diving into Sydney's life, and a girl named Claire comes in, which I'm assuming is a past fling that he may have had with her. And then it dives into the next episode. The next episode was weird. It was a lot of just camera. So the next season starts off with a lot of cameras, a lot of just pictures, kind of like a filler episode. But it also hits on COVID-19 and how all the restaurants are closing and how she has to go find inspiration in the city. And Carmy was like, yeah, I'll meet you there, and ditched her for another girl. And she's kind of getting this hint that maybe she shouldn't be partnering with him, because he already is showing how unreliable he is. So yes. And we kind of see how frustrated she is because everything she's making sucks.
Yeah, she's not happy with a lot of things. So let's take a deep dive in to Carmy. So we're learning a little bit more about his character. And so in past episodes, we've learned that his brother died by suicide. His brother was also an addict, along with his dad. He just describes his mom as chaotic. We know that he has anxiety. There's survivor's guilt. And I believe it's this episode, it's like he was talking about getting the stars with the Michelin stars with Sydney, and she was like, what was that like? And he was like, it was like 10 seconds of joy and then just like immediate panic of like, I have to keep cranking these out. So to me, I'm interpreting that as he's never good enough. In the second or the third episode of the season, we open up to him in AA, and he's in Al-Anon. And he's talking about trying to find joy. And I've touched on the last episode of they were met with this free time and he has no idea what to do with it. And so he goes back to work. I think he puts a lot of his self-worth into his career, like many people do.
Yes.
And while also in this Al-Anon meeting, he talks about how his family tried really hard but didn't keep a lot of their promises. And he says, I have to remind myself to breathe and that the other shoe isn't going to drop even though the other shoe is going to drop. So with him, we see a lot of how his family dynamics are affecting how he presents today. He never feels good enough, right? When we have a dad who's not in the picture because of his addiction, I mean, it's hard as a child to not feel good enough. Thanks. This constant like need to keep doing better, keep getting these same accolades, and never fully meeting those expectations. And I also think, I'm wondering too, if that comes out when he's talking to Claire in the grocery store or whatever, and he gives her the wrong number. He like says the last digit wrong on purpose. You can see that moment of pause, and I'm wondering in that moment if he's thinking like, I don't deserve this joy, because I think he struggles with that.
Fun fact, when he said the wrong number, I was like, that's not his number. I don't know why, but I memerized a lot. I was like, that's not his number. I know your number.
Yeah, I know your number.
Like, that wasn't it.
Yeah, because he was talking to the plumber or what have you, and giving
foreshadowing.
Giving the number, and then gives her the wrong number.
I mean, I feel like Carmy, is going through a lot, but like as a therapist, like what could he do to help himself to get over what he's going through?
Yes. Finding a work-life balance. I know in the restaurant industry there's a big push to just be there all the time, but you've got to find some sort of balance, something outside of work that brings you joy, right? And he's got the Al-Anon group, which is great. It's a great place to start, but I don't think he knows what truly makes him happy, because he said in a few instances, like, I love what I do, but it doesn't mean that I'm happy, right? He said that to Richie, and then he's like, I'm good at this. He can get the stars, but he's not finding joy from it. And he's telling the people at AA, like, he doesn't have joy. And so he has to find things that he likes outside of the restaurant to bring those joy. And maybe he'll find some of that with Claire. We don't know. We'll see.
So he should probably be using like his self-care toolbox type deal.
Totally. Yes. So Jacqueline was referring to, I created this class called the Self-Care Toolbox, giving people tools to do more self-care and taking a deep dive into self-care. That will be up on my Etsy shop soon. So we'll link my Etsy shop in the show notes if you're interested in learning more about that self-care toolbox.
Because I feel like even though he's a guy, it doesn't mean he can't do self-care.
Absolutely. Self-care is for everyone. And I think especially with such a high stress, high demanding job, you absolutely need self-care. And you aren't your work. I think a lot of people, one of the questions that we ask everyone is like, well, what do you do? we put so much value in ourselves and what we do for our jobs that we don't know who we are outside of work. And so the first question we ask them is like, what do you do? Well, I'm a therapist. That doesn't mean I'm only a therapist. I'm so many other things. Like, I love to do all sorts of things outside of therapy.
Right. Yeah, I think he just really needs someone, and I'm not saying to be codependent on Claire, but I feel like maybe she might give him a reason to quote unquote live outside of the restaurant.
Yeah,
Um,
like
be-
sparking joy outside of the restaurant.
yeah, because he's just working constantly, and you can tell it's eating him up, and he's not happy anymore.
The trust between Carmy and Sydney. So I think so. If we look at Carmy's background, he probably, with a mom who he describes as chaotic and his dad we think is pretty much absent, he had to rely a lot on himself. And so Sydney is going around town, and the advice that she's getting is like, make sure that you really trust your partner. She comes in the end of the episode and sees that Carmy is starting to knock down the walls. He's used to being independent on his own, making his own way, and he's in this partnership. There's a second person here that like needs him to recognize that she is also sharing space and they're doing this together. He's so used to just like doing it on his own. And she confronts him about it. I don't think it's the best repair because they're kind of like going a little bit at each other, and he's like, so what do you need me to do next time, like, so I know like when the walls are crumbling down you don't want me to just like go ahead and do it. And she's like, no, I need you to like be on a team with me. So she's saying like, I need you to communicate with me. Not There's a little bit of an ineffective communication because I think they're just going to keep running into this because the problem I don't think has been solved. Ideally they talk about, if they would slow things down in their relationship and build more trust about, okay, you also ditched me today. I don't know why. We had these plans to go out and eat food and get inspiration, and then you left me. And all the advice that I'm getting is to make sure that I trust my partner because all these people have had horrible experiences with their partner. If she come to him with this information, she could make a better repair so then he could understand where she's coming from. And he
Absolutely.
can also understand like, hey, I'm used to going things on my own. Through therapy, ideally they realize these things and how their stories are colliding. I see this all the time in like couples therapy or friendships, that our two stories are coming together and they're like knocking heads against each other. So her wanting like learning to trust him, and him also learning to trust it in a different way of like relying on someone else because he's not used to that. And so it's
Right.
clashing in this moment.
Yes. And you can kind of see that she, from her past, from what she's kind of led into, she relies heavily on her dad.
Mm-hmm.
That restaurant talk said, you're okay with living with your partner in my house type of deal. And she was like, yeah, I'm fine with it. And you could tell the dad wants more for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying the word settling, but she is okay with where she's at, which is okay with a lot of people. Some people are like that. But then you have people like Carmy that is constantly leveling up. They're constantly looking for ways to move up, because they're not, like you said in the past, not happy, or they don't feel like they're enough.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So with Sydney and her relationship with her dad, he's like trying to be supportive, but he's also kind of,
Being the realist.
yeah, he's being a realist, but he's doing it in a way that is like dinging on her self-confidence. So we've talked about before that Sydney struggles with her confidence. And her dad gave her that book, and the waiter was like,
He's
oh,
a good boy.
confidence and courage leads to decision making. And we know that she a lot of times will lack confidence in her skills, right? And so her dad is giving her these outs, which is probably for her like dinging against her confidence, making her second guess. And so she's really struggling with that. And whilst also having these words from other chefs of how their partners have screwed them over, it's not helping her confidence at all. And she's really struggling coming up with recipes for the restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to dive a little bit in on Richie. I feel like we always have to dive in on him.
Richie, he's got a lot going on.
He took 10 steps forward and 10 steps back. What's the saying? I don't know the saying.
Mm-hmm.
But he pretty much went backwards. You can sense the tension between him and Fack. You can sense that he's upset that Marcus is like alliance, like, which he's just trying to find his way. And don't call mom. I thought that was funny. Don't call mom, because you can tell, like you said, the child in him. He must have had mom called on him a lot. Because he was so quick to be like, stop calling her, like, stop. And it's great they recognize that in Sugar, that she is that mom for all of them.
Yes, Richie, he has got a lot of things to work through. Because they're fighting over
The mold.
potential mold, right?
Oh, no, they were fighting over moving the lockers.
Oh yeah, the lockers. It was also the mold too, right? Because then it literally came down on him, or was that another episode? Regardless,
that's in what we're talking about. But first they had to move the lockers to like clean the walls and all that. And then when they moved the lockers, they were like, he took the handle. I was like, well, if it's mold, it'll come down on me. And I'm still confused why so much things were up there. A ball bounced on his head, a helmet. Like, don't you want to climb up there and see what else? Like, maybe Mikey had some hidden toys up there. Like,
right, more cash.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because, yeah. And also, one more quick thing, and we'll keep diving on that, is when they were moving the lockers and they're renovating it, and it's now called a facelift. Now they're like really, really diving into it all. The last episode of the last season was that can of tomato sauce that they left behind. On that. And you'd think they'd find that when they're cleaning all this, because the lockers is where it rolled under. And then on top of all that, the episode was called Pasta.
Really? Like, I hate to bring it to you, but this can's not going to come back up.
What a fake cliffhanger.
I think you're just really upset that marinara sauce is being left behind, and that is like sacrilegious.
Yes. But also, they made it such a big deal what was in those cans, and they literally showed one can got left behind.
Well, I think it's like little pieces of Mikey still there, right? Like they cut open the locker, and all that was in it was just a hat.
Don't say just a hat, Sydney. That's disrespectful.
I know. I think Sydney's like, I don't get it. But everyone else was there when Mikey was there. She's the newcomer, so she never knew Mikey. So to her, it's just a hat. But to everyone else, it's this memory of the booth or whatever it was at the Taste of Chicago that they did.
The beef.
Yeah, they did a booth at the Taste of Chicago.
Oh, I thought, because the hat said the beef, so that's what I was like.
Yeah, that's the name of the restaurant.
No, I get that. But I'm saying, like, maybe he wore that when he worked. I didn't know he wore that at the booth.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
just saying, like, it's just, yeah, it's not that important. But keep going.
Yeah, so back to moving the lockers. Oh, Carmy gives the hat to Richie, and I think that was really special, of like, here, you can have this piece. Like, I know that you are really close with Mikey, and so here's the hat that has like a good memory. I just thought that was a very nice gesture.
You really looked into that, didn't you? I just saw him handing the hat off and said, continue to move.
That's my therapist brain for you.
You really looked deep into that one. I just thought he was like, all right, continue the project.
You got your pasta can, I got my hat.
Well, at least your hat's still around.
You'd be on the hands and knees getting that pasta can out. Wait, we got one.
Yes. Yes. But anyway, so yes.
Okay. So they move the lockers. Richie, again, he fights for power. He really fights for power. He said there's only one way, because they were trying to decide like how to move the lockers, or even if they should be moved. And he was like, no, it's not. Like, there's only one way, and it's the right way. Right? He's really digging his heels in. It's like, again, it's like, I want my toy. It's my toy. It's mine, mine, mine. And it's like this power struggle to like, I feel like he feels that he is being missed a lot of the time. Again, he's that little boy that just watching the trains and everyone is watching, like, their life is going by. And so they call mom, and then mom like, no, we're moving the lockers, right? Yeah. Sugar. We're moving the lockers. And towards the end, he's like, yeah, we're moving the lockers. Like, that's the right call. But he like digs his heels in, and he gets stuck because I think he really wants to feel important. I don't think he feels important. I think he really wants to feel important.
Yeah, because in my opinion, it was a him and Mikey show. Mikey ran to him when they needed money. Of course, it was only legal, but it was him and Mikey. And he's seen the shift change, which in most restaurants, the chef is in charge. The chef is the one that calls the shots. And it's just hard for him.
Mhm.
He could benefit a lot in therapy, but I
Yes.
just don't know what he could be doing in there.
Well, I think talking about whatever happened in his childhood, we honestly don't know a lot about Richie. We just see him as this like aggressive character who fights for power. And so figuring out what has happened in his past and why it causes him to behave the way he does. I also think working on finding his purpose, like what does he enjoy? What does he want to do? How can he enhance his skills? I think he lacks confidence. I really truly think he lacks a lot of self-confidence because he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know where he fits in. And I think it comes out, whereas Sydney, her confidence comes out and like stuttering or being unsure of herself. He's unsure of himself, but he masks it with aggression and anger. And then belittling or yelling at someone because he's trying to protect his ego in that way. So building confidence in therapy, talking about what happened in the past, talking about effective communication. How can we communicate that you're feeling unimportant? How can you ask for maybe a specific job? Maybe there's something that he wants to do, we don't know, that is not being met. And so how can he ask for that instead of just like, it's only one way and it's the right way and it's my way, and sharing, like learning to share that power or the leadership. It doesn't have to be just him.
Yeah, no, I absolutely see that. I really hope for growth for him, and I hope he does find his place, because, they need him and he needs them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll see a lot from there. Feels like this season is a lot of like more in-depth character development about their past stuff and how they are being propelled forward.
Yeah. Real quick, let's just dive in a little bit more on Sugar because she dropped the bombshell of what's going on. Which that scene to me completely confused me. Why she's sitting in the bathroom listening to gurgle, and at the end you could see she's on the phone, but I'm just like,
it reminds me
yeah.
of I just posted a TikTok /reel on this about how some people will just come up to you and start telling you their stories.
Yes.
I'm like, this feels like one of those situations
Yes.
where, because sometimes people just have these secrets and they don't have a space or a person to share them with or feel comfortable, so give it to a stranger that I'm never going to see or talk to again. And it's like we're pressure cookers, and when you let the release out, it feels a lot better. So I think she was looking for that. She's not comfortable telling anyone because everyone in the restaurant is depending on her to be the project manager, and she's about to be pregnant, and so she might be missing days for not feeling well, or when she goes on maternity leave, like there's probably feelings of I don't want to let them down, so I got to keep this to myself. And also, we don't know how early it is. Many women choose to wait a while before they like tell people, but people are noticing like, hey, you don't look well. So she's getting this pressure. And so she just randomly tells the plumber that she's waiting for something to be uploaded or whatever, that just tells him all these things.
Yes. Yeah, I thought the last 2 episodes were good. A lot of filler, a lot of like dive into them personally. I can't wait to see what the next episodes bring because let's not forget real quick. Squirrel brain. Richie, they showed him with his kid.
Oh yeah, we got to see his kid.
And even in that personal life, you can see he doesn't have a place because I don't know, kid looked like 7 or 8 to me, could be younger. Was like, yeah, mom got a promotion, this and that.
Mom is surpassing him. Everyone's leaving him behind.
And I don't know, not every situation's a good blended situation, but when you have that toxic split up and the mom and the dad don't get along and that poor kid's in the middle, you really see like even the kid sees it because the kid's like, you still have to pay child support, Well,
I will say he did a very good job he didn't talk ill about her mom. He had said nice things he's like, oh, that's good, I'm glad she's getting a promotion. And the little girl, Eva, I believe her name was like, mom says you still gotta pay child support, fair is fair. So then we're getting clues that like mom is probably talking shit about Richie not paying child support, and I get it. That is rightfully so very frustrating. But ideally you don't tell your kid or like stay in front of your kid because kids are smart. They absorb things and they will repeat them. And so Richie is like, like, I enjoy taking care of you. Like, I love taking care of you. Right? He's like, he's not saying, he's trying to reassure her. He's, again, still not talking shit about mom. And is saying, which is very big and mature of Richie, which is quite surprising based off of all the other interactions he has. And so he's like, I love you and I love taking care of you. And I think that's really important to reiterate to her, to the little girl, of like, I love you. Like, I love Taylor Swift, but I need a break. Girl, me too.
Yes.
So, just making sure that I think he is wondering if his daughter feels that he doesn't care for her because he doesn't pay pay his part of the child support, but he wants to make sure that, I love you and I'm taking care of you. And there are ways to care for our children besides just financially.
Yeah, absolutely. But
we'll see more of that.
Yes, I cannot wait.
We shall see. More's the coming. All right. So stay tuned for next week. We will put show notes and links in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. You can now donate to us if you like our content and you want to give us some support in a financial way. We would greatly appreciate that because we do this with our free time. So any support is nice. If you can't support us financially, make sure that you give us a rating, a thumbs up if you're following us on YouTube, or a 5-star if you like us on Spotify. My name is Selena. Again, I am a therapist, but I am not your therapist. If something in here struck a chord with you, we highly, highly, highly suggest that you go and seek therapy.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.